I'm Zayas, and over 7,000 titles got taken down on Mangadex 2 months ago, and although I'm late, I feel like this is important to talk about. Now, if you're a veteran in the manga space, you know that these websites frequently get copyright claims against them, and lots of websites have gone under and crashed because of similar copyright strikes. Previously, there was stuff like Batato, Manga Rock, Manga Fox. There's probably 10 other Reaper scans. There's a lot of these manga websites, piracy websites that got taken down because of these copyright strikes. Some of these are still kind of around, but they're a shell of their former selves, having nowhere near the popularity they used to have, not really having the same user base, and people just frequenting them less. Others like Reaper scans are down completely and you can't access them at all. Now, Mangadex was the biggest kind of manga piracy website. One, because it had a ton of titles on it. Two, because it wasn't very intrusive with stuff like ads and stuff like that. And three, because it treated both the publisher and the creators of these works well, but also the translators. And a lot of the older websites didn't have a lot of these things. A lot of them didn't have wide selections. A lot of them kind of mistreated translators just by ripping their stuff off the websites without giving them credit or anything like that. And they also didn't treat the actual creators of the websites properly, because when Mangadex was asked to take series down, or when series would start to get published in publication overseas where they would be officially translated, then Mangadex would take them down themselves, that series off its site. But even though Mangadex basically did as good as they can while being a manga piracy website, they were too big. There was too many people using it. It was too accessible. Everybody knew about it. And now there was a bunch of publishers which came at them and took down a bunch of works. Now, the alternative to Mangadex, there really isn't that many. You can use the Shonen Jump app, which actually has all the Shonen Jump series on there. It's a good app if you want to read Shonen Jump series, and it's not very expensive. Or I've heard about the K-Manga app, which is not available in the country where I am currently, which is kind of crazy, but that's pretty much your only option of digital manga reading. And other than that, people have to basically resort to piracy to read a lot of their favorite works. And a lot of people's favorite works don't even have official translations. And a lot of these websites have unofficial translations on there, which were included in a lot of the works that got taken down. Which, again, a lot of these manga publishers claim they're losing some massive amount of money to piracy, but I don't really think that's the case, because if piracy wasn't allowed, then people would simply just not be reading manga because there's nowhere to read it. You would basically have to buy these huge collections just to read a little bit of manga. Mangadex is still up and running at this moment, and they say everything will be fine. But if we've seen what's happened to sites like this before, more and more series will kind of just join in on this copyright, and there won't be that much stuff to read on there, and people will move away. I've already noticed people moving away to new sites, which I won't mention the new sites. I mostly tried to mention old, more dead sites, because people aren't really using these sites. There's just sort of examples. But if more and more series get taken down, then Mangadex will probably just be a shell of its former self, and people will have to move on to a new website. And that's also another problem. People won't stop pirating manga, they will just simply move on to a new website. When a lot of these people claim that they're losing a ton of money from manga piracy, they're assuming once they take down Mangadex, people will buy their collections, maybe people will find other ways to read. I don't really know what they expect us to do in the West, because we literally just have the Jump app. That's pretty much the only official way to read manga digitally, or you can go to a library or something, but there really just won't be manga to read if all these places get taken down. And it's impossible for all these places to get taken down because they are all hosted in these random regions where the laws are a little different on copyright, and it's hard to sue these guys because they're all in these different locations. I believe what this will do actually is kind of harm people trying to get into manga, because these people who know only like a few manga, everybody's going to tell them, oh, go to Mangadex, read some of these manga that you can't find on the Jump app. And they try to do this, and now you can't find that manga there. And they'll have a hard time finding manga in other places because they're not very experienced kind of, in manga piracy. But people who are experienced, they already know where to go. They already had like 10 websites lined up. You guys probably, like a lot of you guys, if you're really into reading manga, you probably know over 10 websites where you can read manga. So I don't think it's really gonna stop people from pirating manga. If you were to ask me what they should do, I think they should create an official app where you can get a ton of series. Obviously, they have all these different publishers, they would need to work together. But if you can create an official app with some type of subscription service similar to like a Spotify, that would be way better than what we're doing now, because I'm sure tons of people would be willing to pay $5 a month to read thousands of manga. Right now, you're paying like $5 a month to read like 50 manga on some apps, but it would have to be a lot of publishers getting together, and people would gladly pay the $5. You can give them ads or whatever, and that would be a much better solution than just to come over and just copyright strike these websites again and again. Because if you do make something like a Spotify, eventually people will just stop using these copyright infringing websites, because they'll just go to the official source instead, where the translations are better because they're official, where there's less ads because it's official, where it's more trustworthy website, and people will pay the $5 just like a Spotify. I think in a lot of ways it's kind of sad to see this cycle repeating, because even if you go back to like the 2010s, there was a bunch of websites, or even the late 2000s, there was so many manga websites. And I remember the first website I used, it definitely doesn't exist anymore. And even though these guys keep copywriting and copywriting, every few months or every couple years, there's a new website. Mangadex lasted pretty long, but some other sites lasted pretty long too, like Batato lasted pretty long, Manga Rock lasted pretty long. So realistically, they just keep doing the same thing over and over again, and they're getting the same result. And I'm surprised. I know it's difficult to do something like having a ton of manga series with one app because of all the different rights, the creators, and all that stuff. Like, it will be tough to do. I understand it's not easy. I can see something like Shonen Jump being a lot easier to do because they all work under Jump, right? But it's difficult, but something kind of needs to be done about piracy in manga, because creators really aren't getting that much money from us. Of course, there's some people out there who will buy books, but a lot of people are buying zero books. They're just pirating all their websites. And a lot of these people will be happy to pay $5 a month to read manga. So I think there's definitely a solution here to be had. So to all of you guys who are wondering, like, Mangadex is dead, I can't find my series on there, what do I do? Just keep looking. There's tons of new manga websites which are popping up like literally every day. People are developing these websites. They're trying to compete for that spot of Mangadex now that there's a huge hole. Everybody wants to be the best publisher possible. And there's already several that have kind of stepped up and became more popular because of this. How long will they last? Will it be a year, 2 years, 5 years? Who knows? Mangadex lasted, what, like 6 years before having this big copyright strike happen. So who knows, maybe we'll get a manga subscription service in my lifetime, or maybe we won't. I have no idea. Thank you guys. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment about manga piracy. Are you guys upset about the Mangadex takedown? I know a lot of people had like their libraries on there and stuff, but I think it's getting a lot easier to export that kind of stuff nowadays compared to like 5-10 years ago. So yeah, normally I don't do these types of videos, but I feel like this was really big. I'm definitely very late. I wanted to do this video earlier, but I feel like the stuff I have to say will hold up regardless of time. By the time the next big website gets taken down, this video will still be true. So yeah, I wanted to get that out there. Thank you guys for watching. I want to do a short video next, so I'll see you guys.